What's going on, guys? PlayBox here, and we're back for another Dragon Ball Legends video. Now, today I'm going to be making a different type of video than what you guys are used to seeing. I'm going to be making a training guide for new players because, as you might know, we're currently in the second anniversary of the game, and with this huge celebration, there's been an increase of new players that just joined. So this is sort of a guide for them and how to maybe improve their skills, how to basically perform better in PvP or just in general in the game. So in this video I'll be focusing on a lot of techniques that you'll see in higher ranking gameplays, such as charge step, key, side step, and different techniques like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop straight into the guide. The first thing I want to talk about is probably one of the first things I learned to do when I was first starting out the game, is something called sidestep. Now, sidestep is basically a way to be able to extend your combos and basically gain more keys per card used. So in between every strike or a blast card, you can basically gain up to 2, 3, or 4 key, depending on the character, depending on the type of key recovery you have for that said character, and it basically allows you to extend combos. This is especially useful for units that have increased card draw speeds, such as the green GT Super Saiyan Goku that has increased card draw speed by 2. So by utilizing sidesteps, you'll be able to extend your combo by 2 or 3 cards. One drawback, however, is that the longer you extend your combo, the less damage you do. This is something called combo compensation that the game has introduced. It's not new by any means, it's been in the game for quite a while. It basically means that the longer your combo draws out, the less damage you'll do per strike card. So this is something you have to keep in mind while you're playing, whether you want to opt for a longer combo and maybe less damage, or go straight for your 4-card combo and do as much damage as possible. Now, the way to perform sidestep is actually quite simple. Sidesteps can be performed only after a strike or blast card. So the way you do it is, right after using a strike card, you have to swipe up until your character reaches all the way to the opponent. The second you reach the opponent, you swipe to whichever side you want. So left or right, it doesn't really matter, but as you swipe left or right, you have to click your next card. Like I mentioned, this basically grants you 2 to 3 key depending on the character, and it's really helpful for extending your combo, as you might be able to draw more cards depending on the unit. The next thing I want to talk about is charge step. Charge step is mainly done after blast cards, but you can also do it after strike cards. But I don't advise you to do that, because since charge step is a bit more trickier than sidestep, and they give you the same amount of key after you use after a strike card. Therefore, I would advise you to use a sidestep instead of a charge step only after strike cards. However, after blast cards, it is really important that you use charge step, because it's unlike sidestep, which grants around 2 to 3 key, charge steps can give you up to 5, maybe even 6, depending on the unit, of course, 6 keys, which is super useful for, like I said, extending combos and just doing as much damage as possible. The way to perform charge step is actually a bit trickier than sidestep, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes quite intuitive. So the way you do it is, right after a blast card, it has to be mid-range or closer. You can't perform a charge step at long range, or else you'll drop combo. So the way you do it is, once you're in mid-range and use a blast card, you swipe up just like sidestep, but instead of swiping left or right, you charge for 1 second, not more, or else you'll drop combo. Once you're done charging for that 1 second, you click your next card. If your next card happens to be a blast card, then you can go for another charge step. But if your next card is a strike card, I'd advise you not to use a charge step, because it's more likely that you'll drop combo. It's also worth noting that you can charge step and use any type of card right after. So right after a charge step, you can use another key blast, you can use a strike card, you can use your special move, and you can even go for your green card, and you can even go for your rising rush, which a lot of people do. They decide to charge step to gain a few key, and then go straight for the rising rush. So just don't forget that and keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to be talking about is something that I find is really important and really useful, and that's being able to stop the clock whenever you use a green card or main ability. Now, what I mean from this is that whenever you use a main ability or a green card, it basically stops the timer counts. So in that small frame, when you're doing a green card animation or your main ability pops up, you have a chance to see what the opponent is doing. So if you're using a green card, you'll be basically notified if the enemy does a key blast or anything of the sort, and you'll be notified with the exclamation mark. Once you see that, you'll be able to even go for a special move or your rush depending on what they do. In the case of a main ability, you'll be able to see exactly what your enemy is doing. If he's going for a key blast, you'll see his character freeze on spot, and you can basically predict what he's going to do and plan accordingly. This is a really, really useful technique to be able to use, as it lets you basically plan out what you want to do, and the enemy is forced to sit there and not pretty much do anything. So it's a really big and useful technique to learn. The next thing I want to talk about is also something that's very, very important that you should be doing all the time, and it's something called key canceling. So key canceling basically allows you to be able to move as fast as possible right after using a blast arts card. Instead of waiting through the animation of the blast arts, it basically cuts it a bit shorter, therefore you can use another card that you wish to use, or you can sidestep if the enemy vanishes your blast arts. The way to perform this is actually quite simple. Right after using a blast arts card, which is the yellow card, you just continuously swipe up until your character repositions and gets back into his battle position. This is done usually after a enemy opponent vanishes your blast arts, and therefore he's right next to your character. So by key canceling, you're able to reposition your character, therefore being able to be ready for any upcoming attack that he might be able to do on you. You can either vanish yourself if he goes for a strike card, or even go for another strike card while he's waiting for you to sidestep. The next thing I want to talk about is not really a technique, but it's something to keep in mind, and that's being patient. In this game, patience is really, really key, because one misstep can really cause you a lot of damage. It can basically even cause you to lose a unit, because nowadays in the game, combos last for a long time. So if you make one mistake and the enemy is able to capitalize on that, it's basically GG for you. Some key moments of when to be patient is basically after you key cancel. Don't swipe, sidestep, or anything like that. Just wait until you see what the opponent does and then swipe, because the last thing you want is to sidestep and the enemy capitalizing on it, because once you're in the middle of the sidestep animation, they can go in for a strike cards or any other cards, and you're basically forced to take up all the damage that he's about to deliver. This is also in the opposite case, where you're waiting for your opponent to do a misstep like a sidestep, and you want to be able to capitalize on his mistake. So the way to do this is just wait to see what he does. If he goes for a sidestep because he thinks you're gonna go for a card, wait till he sidesteps and then capitalize on this. This is something that's pretty hard to master, because sometimes you'll be patient, sometimes you won't. It really depends on the way your opponent fights. So every opponent you face, you have to be able to adapt to their play style. Well, yeah, that's going to be it. This is pretty much all the techniques that I used when I was first starting out the game, actually a bit further down the line. But I feel like I tackled on the main points that every beginner should be really aiming to be able to use and master. There are other techniques that are a bit more advanced, I believe, that are a bit harder to get the hang of. But if you guys want to see a more advanced training guide, I can definitely make another one showcasing some of those different techniques. But this one should basically cover all the basic ones that you'll mainly see all the time in higher level PvP. So yeah, I hope you guys found this informative. I hope it will help you become a better player. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please do leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe, because that shit is so important, so don't forget. Other than that, have a great day. See ya.